Okay, so we are live now, and I will call the meeting to order of the May 13th Lisle Township Board meeting. It is 7:45, and our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Let me share quickly. Rise for the pledge.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I will turn it over to, there we go, Bob for roll call.
Hello.
Hi, Mike, welcome.
I'm in finally.
All right, there
Sorry.
we go. Just in time for the roll.
Michael.
Hi, guys, girls.
So, Mary Jo,
Here.
Michael Reedy,
Here.
Michael Tams,
Here.
Kathy Chapman,
Here.
Sean Allen,
Here.
John Trowbridge,
Here.
Ed Young,
Here.
and Clerk Claren is here.
Excellent, thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. During our virtual meetings, what we've asked the public to do is to provide public comment via a Google form, which the link was attached to our agenda and everywhere we posted of the meeting. I'm just going to refresh real quick. And we have no responses currently, so there is no public comment to offer. That brings us to approval of the April 8th, 2020 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 8th, 2020.
I'll second that.
I did notice, Bob, I apologize for not sending it earlier, that when I looked on my phone, I didn't see it. When I looked on my computer, that rather than Facebook Live, the streaming is happening through YouTube. So that's one more correction to make.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions or discussion on the minutes?
So there is a second round of minutes that came out that was called edited April minutes for approval. I'm just curious if there's is that what you were referring to, that it was? Okay.
No, the edits on there were Jim's grammatical edits of mine.
Okay.
This is one that we'll have to actually make to the minutes.
Okay.
Just changing that format. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion?
No questions here.
No.
So, yeah, okay. So Bob, again, this meeting, just to make sure that it's clear during virtual meetings, rather than voice votes, I'll ask you to do roll call for each of the votes.
That's what I was writing down. So I roll
Okay,
call.
perfect.
Mike Reedy,
Yes.
Michael Tams,
Yes.
Kathy Chapman,
Yes.
and Sean Allen.
Yes.
All right, so the meeting minutes for April 2020 are approved. That brings us to approval of the March 11th Town and GA budget hearing meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on those minutes?
Nope.
Nope.
Great.
Nope.
Then I will ask for a roll call vote on that as well.
Mr. Reedy,
Yes.
Mr. Tams,
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman,
Yes.
and Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Mary Jo?
Yes. So that March 11th Town and GA budget hearing meeting minutes are approved. That brings us to the approval of March 11th, 2020 Road District budget hearing meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those?
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes from March 11th for the road district.
I will second.
Discussion on the Road District budget hearing meeting minutes?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote.
No.
Okay. You just got
Yes.
fairly soft, MJ. So Reedy, you said yes. Okay. Mike Tams?
Yes.
Yes, Bob.
Okay. Kathy Chapman
Yes.
and Sean Allen.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Mary Jo.
Yes.
I had your name at the top, but I always call it last, so I was.
All right,
Go back to the
excellent.
top.
So the road district budget hearing minutes from March 11th are approved as well. Next up is discussion of and potential action on the Families First Coronavirus Response Act policy. This was drafted for us by our lawyer in response to the Families First Coronavirus Response Act that was passed by Congress at the onset of this. And we've already been adhering to the act, but this is just formalizing the policy for us. So I will ask if there is a motion to approve the Families First Coronavirus Response Act policy.
I'll make a motion to approve the Families First Response Act policy.
I'll second it.
I will,
Sorry.
Do you guys have any questions or discussion on the policy?
Is there anything that differs in here from what the federal legislation is?
No, it's really just kind of outlining how we're going to implement the federal policy.
Okay,
legislation.
thanks.
Any other?
no,
Right. Then I will turn over to Bob once more for voting.
Certainly. Trustee Reedy,
yes,
Trustee Tams,
Yes.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
Trustee Allen,
Yes.
and Mary Jo.
Yes. All right, so Families First Coronavirus Response Act policy for the township is approved. So that will bring us to discussion and potential action on telework policy. So just to note that these policies are specific to supervisor's office and can apply to John's office, but Ed, these work differently from office to office, and Ed has the ability to enact these policies himself. Is there a motion to approve the telework policy?
I'll make a motion to approve the telework policy.
I'll second that.
So this is similar, drafted for us because we have gone to a virtual environment for several of our staff, and just enables everyone to outlines the details of what telework means for us, having core hours, and establishes a sheet for everyone to fill out and sign, so that it's clear what their working hours are, how they're going to be teleworking, and then what outlines if there are needs for equipment or needs for additional supplies from the township, how we provide that.
So Mary, am I to understand this is obviously in effect for now, but this is going to be a policy for your office moving forward in case we should have to have some kind of a temporary shutdown or an outbreak related situation? You'll be able to utilize this beyond just COVID, correct?
Yes, and so my intent would be to just wrap this and incorporate this into the next year's manual, employee manual update. So it would just be a new section in there, and would be able to essentially, if someone has a need to telework regardless of other world events, right? This would be available, and then as part of any kind of continuity of operations, it's obviously something we can enact also.
So as a follow-up to that, then I see that the third page is the agreement sheet.
Mhm.
And I know that that's more of an attachment. But is there possibly an option to put a supervisory signature on that, just so there's an approval understanding that this is outside of business as usual for the?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's an easy amendment to make, and I think that's a very good idea as well, just to show that that telework agreement has been confirmed by both parties. Yes.
And then the ultimate decision and approval would be by you, I'm assuming, like if there is an intermediate supervisor who approves it, you'll still be made aware of that and approve it as well. Is that correct?
I think the department head would have to approve it just the way we're set up. So, and in my office, I would have to approve. If John's office is leveraging this, then he would have to be the one to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood the structure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Just a general question. Do most employees who, who are going to fall into this category already have the laptop and whatever else they would need?
Yeah, I think everyone has basically what they need. There might be some small supplies, like one of the things that we've run into that we've just been handling already is software for social work. So for Sarah to be able to, within HIPAA compliance, do virtual counseling, we've had to seek out software like a Zoom. So we tried to buy up Zoom, and then Zoom came back to us and said, we won't sign the business agreement with you unless you have one of the highest level business arrangements with us, which is several $100s a month. So we're, that arrangement, she found one today that actually will work for her, that is not costly, and is actually, there's a free version that will allow them to sign a business agreement that will be HIPAA compliant.
Okay.
So it's things like that we'll have to invest in, but they're pretty small when we do find anything like that so far.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
No,
So do you want
No.
to amend the motion to say the policy as amended by Kathy's suggestion? To,
would be Sean.
amending, yeah, Sean, do you want to do that?
You okay, Sean?
Yeah, so what, you want me to amend it?
Amend the motion to include,
In
to
addition.
approve it based on the amendment suggested
Based-
by trustee Chapman.
Okay, yeah, I make a motion to amend the policy based on trustee Chapman.
Second.
I'm like, I've lost track of who seconded what. Okay,
Reedy did.
thank you. Okay, then Bob, I'll turn over to you for roll call.
Certainly. Mike Reedy,
Yes.
Mike Tams,
Yes.
Kathy Chapman,
yes,
Sean Allen,
Yes,
and Mary Jo Mullen.
Yes.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is discussion and potential action on the amendment to extend the lease at 1280 Iroquois Avenue. There is a story behind this. I will ask for a motion to approve this and we can discuss it more.
What are you asking for a motion for? Can you say that
To
again?
To approve the amendment to extend the lease at 1280.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to extend the lease at 1280 Iroquois.
I'll second that.
Second.
Excellent.
And
So-
Michael, that's amendment number 3, correct? Okay.
Correct.
And it,
Yep.
you seconded? I'm sorry, was that Reedy or was that?
I'll defer to Mr. Reedy.
Okay,
Thanks.
he was louder.
So John has been discussing with Stelco the opportunity to extend our lease and for his office. And there came a point where it did not look like that was going to happen. That the terms by which they would extend us was 1 year and an increase in cost. And we got to a point where John's like, okay, we're good. And then how long was it, John? Maybe an hour. And we had a revised lease that was exactly what we were asking for, which is the same rate, the same lease cost for 6 months to get us through to where we're ready to move in elsewhere. Is that accurate, John?
That is correct.
Is there any
You
questions?
so you're, John, I thought they were telling you had to go.
The lease was going to expire at the end of May, and we were looking for a few month extension to get the other project completed. And they'd indicated that they had some interest in of some other people taking our space, so they were going to ask us to be out. And there was some misunderstanding. There was originally we had looked at 6 months would give us ample time to make sure that we got into our new place. And they came back and said that management indicated minimum term would be 12 months. And then we indicated that would be unacceptable. They came back with our terms.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of back and forth what this was going to look like, and we landed exactly where John had requested in the beginning, which is good.
Cool.
Bill, did you have something?
I do. Since we're extending this and we didn't pay June's rent, I think that rent is higher than our agreement of handwriting something. So what are we gonna do for June rent? Are we gonna agree just to, since everybody's together, obviously, to cut a check and handwrite that one? Are you gonna do some kind of little notation so we can pay that and not have to wait until June 10th to pay June 1st rent?
Why don't you make it as part of the extension to authorize the payment of June's rent?
It is part of routine operations, which we have a policy in place for. As long as nobody has an objection to bringing that as a validation next month, we could treat it as operational. Is there any objection to that?
No, that sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds fine to me.
Work.
Otherwise, I got about 30 bucks in my pocket.
Or any other questions on the amendment to the lease? Excellent.
No.
No.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Mr. Reedy,
Yes.
trustee Tams,
Yes.
trustee Chapman,
Yes.
trustee Allen,
Yes.
supervisor Mullen.
Yes. Excuse me. So the amendment's approved, and we'll move on to updates on COVID-19 related operations. I will start with what we're doing in the supervisor's office and ask John and Ed to jump in with what's going on in their offices. We continue to operate our essential services. Financial services is continuing to operate. Laura is in making appointments as needed, and no one is seeing walk-in clients. And she's conducting business through the glass window in the front. The food pantry continues to operate as a drive-up service. Everyone is masked, everyone is gloved, and we're just following the food bank's updates. We get a daily, if not every couple of days, email from the food bank, kind of alerting us to any status changes, operations. We actually got one today that their Geneva location is closing for a couple of days because they've had 2 staff be quarantined now. So they're doing a full cleansing of Geneva. They will do their deliveries for tomorrow, close for a couple of days, and reopen Monday. So we're getting a lot of good status updates from the food bank, as well as operational advice on what we should be doing, and they're constantly in communication with Charlie as well. Otherwise, everyone is working virtually. Jim's working from home. Sarah's working from home, and doing everything that's feasible, and coming into the office to pick up stuff as needed. But it's pretty much the same as I would say as last month. John or Ed?
Johnny, you want to go?
Sure. Very briefly, we're still operating. We do have people coming in the office. We are going out and doing inspections, doing our inspections a little differently. Normally, we just go out and knock. And now we're sending out letters to let people know that we're going to be going out and asking them on just measure onlys that they not interfere with what we're doing. If they have any questions, they can contact us. And we've even included a image of the person that's going out to inspect the property. The last thing that's occurring, I think, is important that you may get some questions on are the senior freeze. The senior freeze is an application that has to be done every year. There's currently legislation that's that's being proposed that will allow people who had the senior freeze last year to get it again this year. However, that's pending, and it is not law right now. So what the supervisor of assessments is doing is they're delaying the letters that normally go out at this time in order to wait for the results of what happens in the legislature. So if anybody does call you, we're working on them. We're waiting for the legislation hopefully to come through. And if it doesn't, we still have time to get everything processed. That's it for me.
Yeah, we have no reported cases. Everybody's healthy. The staff is still on rotating basis every other day. I intend to change that next week, bring everybody back. The process for permits and things, that has not been affected, although we don't let anybody in the office. We ask them to mail the check and then we email them the permit. And the permit volume is way down, as you can well imagine. The paving bid for the MFT was opened by the county earlier the month. It came in at $802,000. The range was $802,000 to almost $900,000. The successful bidder was Schroeder Asphalt. Some of the other townships has had some difficulty with them with respect to staying with the project and completing the project on a straight line basis. We hope to not have that kind of issue with them. I sent out that email that we got some grant monies coming over the next 3 years through that bonding that the state issued. Our individual bids will be open May 22nd. Bob, that's a date change for you. We have 3 bids outstanding: concrete, crack filling, and reclamite. We completed our first round of brush pickup the first week in May. It was relatively light, but it went pretty well. And we also mailed out our spring summer newsletter in March, and we've gotten several calls about the sidewalk program, which we extended again this year. I expect the volume to be up from normal, but not nearly as big as it was last year. And that's all I have.
I think that shifts us to reports of elected officials. John, did you have anything else for a general report? Do you have anything else outside of COVID operations?
No.
I have 3 quick things. The Lisle Intergovernmental Meeting has been meeting weekly right now via Zoom. So we're kind of just making sure that we're all checking in with each other, seeing, especially Chief Creston has been giving us some advice as we're going on how we reopen and how we should, approach policies, and giving us some advice on procedures. So we're all working through kind of what our procedures should be in terms of allowing the public back into our spaces and how that happens. We have already started working with the new waste hauling provider with LRS on transition planning. They've put together a brochure that's going to go out to all of our unincorporated residents who are serviced by the township or serviced through the township contract. So everyone will start getting notifications. They're going to print, I think, next week on the brochure, and then those will start going out so they know, we're the new provider. Here's how the carts are going to work. Republic will pick up your carts on these dates, starting after the last pickup on July 28th. And our first service is this date. They are splitting service into 4 different days during the week. It's more efficient for them to operate in these chunks. So like all of the Meadows goes together, but then Steeple Run is a totally different day. So there'll be a lot of communication around everyone's new day. And when they drop off carts, they have a special sticker that goes on the cart that they will check off, this is your day, and your first pickup will be on this date. So we're working through transition planning right now with LRS, and we've been talking to Republic, making sure that that transition goes well. And then lastly, I'll just mention that I'm in the process right now of working on some staffing planning, that planning for upcoming future transitions for anyone who may retire. And then we have a few things to figure out with some of our drivers. We have less drivers who are currently working with us at the moment because some don't feel comfortable right now with the position because of the pandemic. So we're in a position where some of our people have been working more than they normally would, and we have limits based on IMRF for our drivers. So we're probably going to have to bring in a couple more part-time drivers who are able to be working right now to balance that load. So I'm in the process of planning that right now. And that's what I have. Any questions on any of that from you guys? Okay, then
No.
Excellent. Then we will move into other business. Does anyone have any other business?
Hey, Ed,
Yes,
could I ask you to send me that list of things you went through to make sure I didn't miss them? Something.
Sure. Sure.
And the spelling of Schroeder on it is SHROE. So if you send me kind of what you had written down, just take a picture so I can make sure I have all your points.
I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, got it. Sorry about that. There you go.
No, no worries. I just want to make sure there is no other business. Then I will ask for a motion to go to audit.
I'll make a motion to go to audit.
I'll second that.
I'll let Bob ask.
Trustee Reedy,
Yes.
Trustee Tams,
Yes.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
Supervisor Mullen,
Yes, and Sean.
and Sean. I'm sorry, Trustee Allen. I didn't say Trustee Allen.
Yes,
No, you did not.
you didn't.
I'm sorry.
Okay, then I will now ask for a motion to approve the audit.
Do we want to talk about it first, Mike?
Well, I think is the idea
We'll do the
make a
discussion and the
motion
approval. Yeah.
in the approval stage. Okay, then yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the audit.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so discussion on the audit.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, I was going to defer to you.
Oh, isn't that nice? Well, all right, fine. So there's a large disbursement in the highway batch for DuPage County transportation. I mean, just didn't know what that was. It looked like it was an intergovernmental agreement.
There is an intergovernmental agreement, and what the county requires is full funding for the total amount of the bid. So if I'm going to use MFT money for 500,000, they want the other 300,000, and they want it from us before they start. So that's what's up. And it is part of the intergovernmental agreement that we signed with respect to using the MFT money.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
No other questions.
Okay, then I will ask Bob to roll call for approval of the audit.
And Trustee Reedy,
Yes.
Trustee Tams,
Yes.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
and Trustee Allen. Sorry about that.
Yes, no worries.
Supervisor Mullen.
Yes.
Good.
So we don't have need for executive session. I do want to mention one thing to you guys. Last year at our May meeting, it was the worst night of my life. And I want to thank you all for being very supportive over the immediate time following the loss of my mother and this whole last year. I really appreciate that everyone's really been very helpful and supportive. So I really want to thank you all for that. And with that, before I start shaking, I will ask if there's a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay.
Everybody seconded.
Everybody second. So I will go ahead and do voice vote on this one. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
I
Be well, everyone. Be safe. Be
Be
healthy.
healthy,
too.
everybody.
Take care.
Thank
You
you
too.
all.
That's everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for everything.
Thank
Bye.
There they go.
I don't know.